You know, I'm deeply honored to be here because I come from, some people think is a flyover state, but it's the great state of Indiana, the Hoosier state. If you don't know anything about Indiana, some of you guys may know about the Indy 500 or the Indianapolis Colts or the Indy Pacers, but Indianapolis is a great place, and I've been able to represent the city of Indianapolis for over 4 years in Congress. Before this, I was a member, I was telling the mayor, I was a member of the city council. We have deep issues of poverty in our own United States. And so for me to talk about all of that would largely be in vain, because tonight's event is the embodiment of what our faith calls us to do, to serve mankind. Now, the challenges before us are quite clear, and the Sheikh, who's a scholar, can speak more eloquently and articulately than I ever could. But we have to face a challenge. Annually, it is estimated that 1.3 million women are victims of physical assaults by an intimate partner. And for the victims of these crimes, there is often nowhere to turn, and no one will stand up for them. But thanks to ICNA Relief, the Boston shelter, there is a place to turn, and there are people there who are willing to help. From health centers, to women's shelters, to disaster relief, hunger prevention, ICNA Relief is doing a fantastic job. They are shining a light in the darkest corners of our society. Now, we've known all along that faith-based communities can play a central role in providing help to those who are struggling. When our community rallies behind the cause to increase levels of cultural sensitivity, when our faith calls on us to push back against the misconceptions that still remain about Muslims and about Islam, we know that we have folks in our community who can make the case. Now, oftentimes, our good work, this is my good side over here, I'm kidding. Our good work goes unnoticed. But as Muslims, as proud Americans, we must press forward. Now, recently, I've been in trouble with Fox News. That may be a alhamdulillah. I made a comment, mashallah, about the fact that there is some good work being done in some faith-based schools. God forbid, a lot of good work is being done in schools that happen to be Islamic-based schools. There's good work being done in Jewish schools, Christian schools, Hindu and the like. But because I was speaking at a conference, an ICNA conference on Islamophobia, they took a clip of what I said and misconstrued it and tried to damage my reputation. Because it's time for us to come out of our shell. And if you are concerned about the great America that we live in, and if you want to make a contribution to your country, this great country, then we have to speak up. I'm the product of Catholic school education and public school education. And when I left the sisters and the nuns and the priests and went to public school, I saw stark contrast. Stark contrast. And as an elected official, I can't sit back and allow America's schools to graduate 50%, they tell me, of Americans' graduates are functionally illiterate. The wealthiest nation in recorded history is producing graduates who are functionally illiterate. But if you look at some of our faith-based institutions, Many of them were bilingual, trilingual, being accepted into Ivy League schools, moving forward to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, and scholars. There's something being done. Now, this isn't an argument for vouchers to my unions out there, but this is an argument saying that we have to look at the great work that is being done. But we also have to look at some of the stereotypes that are pervasive. And we have to fight. And we have to rally around the Amal's Women's Center. Why? Right now, as a former cop, I'm disturbed by what I'm seeing with the New York Police Department. No doubt about it, there are serious threats from people who claim to be Muslim. And they pose a threat to your and my security, and they definitely pose a threat to this country's national security. No doubt about it. And those terrorist threats that have been thwarted in our country have been thwarted because Muslims who love this country have worked with law enforcement to push back on those threats. That's the kind of investment we have to make. That's the kind of investment, that's the kind of signal we have to send if we're serious about our place in America. The actions recently taken by Lowe's. I used to shop at Lowe's. I have to go to Home Depot now. I'm upset. I like Home Depot. But many of us protested against Lowe's because we said enough is enough.
So now they owe us and should donate building materials to the Amal Women's Center.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Friends, we can't sit back anymore. I talked at the ICNA convention a few months ago, Sheikh, and I said, we have a public relations issue. Most people think that Muslim sisters are treated like second-class citizens. If they know anything about our community, they know that the sisters run the community. Really. They're the Sister Malikas of the world. There's a Malika in every city. And we need the Sister Malikas in every city to keep the brothers on point and to keep us moving forward. And the Sister Malikas in the different cities, you either love them or you hate them. And if you hate it, that means that you're moving forward. This shelter means something to me personally, because as a very young man, my mother and I spent some time in the shelter. And I remember the early 80s seeing those Vietnam War vets who were there displaced, and my mother and I was telling Malika earlier, we had to share a room with a lady and her daughter, and there was a partition there that they had to use to separate the room. And that experience stuck with me. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this opportunity to be a member of Congress, and the people of Indianapolis have cast their vote of confidence in what we do, could think of nothing better than to give back. And more importantly, to help a shelter that won't just provide protection for Muslim women. This shelter is going to provide protection for all women. Christian, Jewish, atheist, agnostic. That is the real work. That is, if you want to talk about dawah, that's dawah right there. That is the work that we should be doing, serving all of humanity. So I want to thank you, and I want to commend you and the work that you're doing with ICNA Relief and the Women's Center, and the fact that you had the mayor, his staff, and the lieutenant from the police department take their time out on a Friday night to show up and show support. That tells me that this community has the respect of local government. This community has the respect of her citizenry, and this community is making inroads to move us further and farther into the future. Thank you for allowing me to come out. Assalamu alaikum.